Let's be honest. Overthinking doesn't make life better. It makes it heavier. It's like carrying a backpack full of rocks that no one asked you to carry. You think you're preparing for the future, but really, you're just exhausting yourself in the present. The Stoics warned us about this thousands of years ago. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what overthinking is. Suffering twice, once in your mind and again in your life. But here's the thing. You're not broken for overthinking. You're human. The brain evolved to scan for danger, to anticipate threats, to replay scenarios. But what once protected us now traps us. We end up rehearsing pain that hasn't even happened yet. And this habit, it steals peace. It clouds judgment. It paralyzes action. The good news? Stoicism offers a way out. It doesn't tell you to erase thoughts. That's impossible. It teaches you how to master them, how to reshape your relationship with them, how to stand firm in the storm without drowning in endless what-ifs. So let's walk through 10 Stoic lessons that can free your mind from the cycle of overthinking. These aren't fluffy tips. They are timeless practices used by warriors, emperors, and philosophers to stay calm in the face of chaos. And if you let them, they can change the course of your life. Lesson 1. Control versus no control. Overthinking always begins with one mistake. Trying to control what was never ours to control. Think about it. Why do we replay conversations? Why do we obsess about outcomes? Why do we lie awake at night, turn the same thought over and over? Because deep down we believe, falsely, that if we think hard enough, we can bend reality to our will. But Epictetus made it clear. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. That single line, if you actually lived it, could set you free from years of anxiety. Here's the truth. You don't control what people think of you. You don't control whether tomorrow rains or shines. You don't control every twist of fate. But you do control this, your effort, your choices, your attitude, your response. That's your circle of control. Everything else, it belongs to fortune. Here's a practical exercise the Stoics would approve. Take a blank sheet of paper. Draw 2 circles. Inside the first, write everything you truly control. Your thoughts, your actions, your discipline. Outside, write what you don't. Others' opinions, past mistakes, random events. Now, the next time worry rises, ask, which circle does it belong to? If it's outside your circle, drop it. If it's inside, act on it. This one shift rewires your mind. Because here's the reality. Most of your overthinking is wasted on things that were never yours to hold in the first place. And when you finally let go of what isn't yours, your mind begins to quiet, like a storm losing its wind. Lesson 2. Be where your feet are, the power of the present moment. Overthinking has one cruel trick. It pulls you out of the only place you can actually live, the present moment. Sometimes it drags you into the past, replaying regrets, reliving mistakes, rewriting conversations that cannot be rewritten. Other times it hurls you into the future, imagining endless what-ifs, forecasting disasters that haven't even happened. But here's the Stoic truth. Neither the past nor the future belong to you. Marcus Aurelius said, "Confine yourself to the present." He was an emperor, surrounded by wars, politics, betrayals. Yet he reminded himself daily that peace lives only here, in this very breath. Imagine this. You're sitting in a quiet park. Sunlight warms your skin. A soft breeze brushes your face. Birds sing above you, but your mind isn't in the park. It's in yesterday's argument or in tomorrow's deadline. So even though you're alive, you're not living. That's the trap of overthinking. It robs you of now. So how do you fight back? With mindfulness, a practice the Stoics understood long before the word existed. It's not about emptying your mind. It's about anchoring it. Try this. When thoughts spiral, pause. Notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. This simple grounding resets your brain. It reminds you, I am here. I am now. Another Stoic method, breath control. Epictetus advised students to train their mind through simple exercises. Inhale deeply. Hold. Exhale slowly. With every breath, tell yourself, I return to the present. Overthinking thrives in time zones that don't exist. The cure is presence. And when you reclaim it, you discover something powerful. Peace was never lost, only buried beneath the noise. Lesson 3. Train for uncertainty, voluntary hardship. Here's a paradox. The more you try to avoid discomfort, the more your mind tortures you. Why? Because fear grows in the shadows of avoidance. When you run from uncertainty, your brain fills a gap with endless what-ifs. The Stoics had a cure for this: voluntary hardship. Seneca practiced sleeping on the floor, wearing rough clothes, eating simple bread, not because he had to, but to train his mind. He would ask himself, is this what I feared? And almost always, the answer was no. Modern overthinking is often just fear or discomfort. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I lose? But when you expose yourself to discomfort deliberately, fear loses its grip. Here's how you can practice. Take a cold shower. Spend a day without your phone. Skip a luxury you usually rely on. Speak your mind in a situation where silence feels safer. Each act is a reminder. I can endure more than I think. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Overthinking thrives on fragile minds that haven't been tested. But when you train your mind through small hardships, uncertainty no longer feels like an enemy. It feels like an old companion. The storm comes, but you've stood in rain before. You don't collapse. You endure, and slowly, the endless cycle of what-ifs begins to die, because you've proven to yourself, whatever happens, you'll handle it. Lesson 4. Guard your mind, the discipline of input. Your mind is like a sponge. Whatever you soak it in, it will carry. And here's the problem. Most people soak their minds in garbage all day long. Think about it. You wake up and scroll through social media. You compare your life to someone else's highlight reel. You turn on the news and absorb 1,000 disasters you can't change. You spend hours doom scrolling, gossip reading, or replaying negativity in your head. And then you wonder why your thoughts are restless, heavy, and cluttered. The Stoics would call this poor discipline of the mind. Epictetus said, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In other words, the world doesn't poison your peace. Your interpretation, shaped by what you consume, does. So if your input is toxic, your mind will be toxic. Here's a challenge. Design a mental diet. Just like you would feed your body nothing but junk food, don't feed your mind a constant stream of noise. Replace 1 hour of scrolling with 1 hour of reading philosophy or journaling. Swap mindless videos with calming music or podcasts that uplift. Unfollow people who spark envy. Follow those who spark growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, the things you think about determine the quality of your mind. So ask yourself honestly, what are you feeding your mind every day? Because here's the truth. Overthinking is often not a problem of too much thought, but of polluted thought. Clean up your input, and your inner dialogue becomes clearer, calmer, and lighter. Lesson 5. Reframe the storm, the power of perspective. Here's a secret. Overthinking is rarely about the facts. It's about the story you tell yourself about the facts. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes a way. That's not just philosophy. That's reframing in action. Most people face an obstacle and think, this ruins me. The Stoic faces the same obstacle and says, this trains me. The event didn't change. The perspective did. Imagine this. You lose your job. The average mind spirals. I'm a failure. I'll never recover. This is the end. But the Stoic mind reframes. This is freedom to pursue something better, training for resilience, a chance to practice strength. The difference? One drowns in overthinking. The other stands calm in the storm. Try this exercise when you catch yourself spiraling. Write down the situation. Write down your first fearful thought. Then ask, is there another way to see this? Almost always there is. The obstacle can be a teacher. The loss can be a lesson. The insult can be fuel for patience. Epictetus put it simply, Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things. So the next time your thoughts spiral, remind yourself, the storm outside isn't the problem. The way you see the storm is. And when you reframe, you reclaim power. The obstacle doesn't own you. Your mind does. The Stoic way to end overthinking. Here's the truth you need to carry with you. Overthinking will not disappear overnight. The mind will always try to wander, to rehearse, to worry. That's human. But Stoicism teaches us that while you can't always control the first thought, you can control what you do next. You don't have to follow every thought down the rabbit hole. You don't have to give every fear a stage. You don't have to let your mind drag you into past regrets or future anxieties. Seneca warned us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And that's exactly what overthinking is, suffering twice for no reason. So instead of fighting your thoughts, change your relationship to them. When the storm rises, ask, is this within my control? If not, let it go. When the past whispers, remind yourself, it is gone. Only now exists. When the future screams, whisper back, I will endure. I always have. When fear grows, expose yourself to small hardships. Train the mind. When critics judge, remember, their opinion cannot touch your virtue. And when fate surprises you, answer with 2 words, Amor Fati. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They faced wars, betrayals, sickness, loss. But they left us a map for peace, not by erasing life's chaos, but by mastering their response to it. That's the path for you too. You don't need to overthink every step. You just need to live by principle, to focus on what's yours to control, to act with courage, to anchor yourself in the present moment, to see every challenge not as a curse, but as firewood for your inner strength. Overthinking is noise. Stoicism is signal. Choose the signal. And remember, your mind is your kingdom. Guard it, train it, strengthen it, calm it. Because the man who conquers his thoughts is the man who is free, no matter what the world throws at him.